Which conspiracy theory do you secretly believe? Reddit deliberately makes the mobile website bad to try and force people onto their app. Ireland began deliberately entering bad songs into the Eurovision Song Contest in the 90s. After winning it consecutively for a few years, it began getting too expensive to host, so they sabotaged their chances of winning it. This sub is ran by BuzzFeed. Most computer viruses in the 2000s were created by software companies selling antivirus programs. That the Imagineers at Disney World were certain that Hillary Clinton would win the 2016 election, so they started working on her animatronic for the Hall of Presidents before the actual election date to save time. Then when Trump won, they panicked and made the internal decision to alter the existing Hillary build rather than start from scratch. If you ever see a picture of the Trump animatronic, you can never unsee it. Build-A-Bear came out with a bunch of new toys that were all of the same shade of yellow right after their Minion launch severely underperformed. They had stockpiled yellow fabric in anticipation of the Minion toys selling well and getting a big production run, and had to find a way to use it all. Pinterest was entirely bought and funded by Big Mason Jar. I wish there was a good "someone killed President Harding" conspiracy theory, and there just isn't. Like all of the pieces are there: sudden, natural death while on a trip, political and personal scandals. But there's no "the CIA killed Kennedy" for Harding. Gah. I believe our Ask Reddit is actually a data farming operation that is being used to feed AI algorithms in order to produce more effective propaganda, social control mechanisms, etc. But what do I know? US and probably others intelligence services push conspiracy theories to hide their own dealings among the dreck. Recycling is a scam, at least in the US. Most plastics are produced and used by giant corporations in production and shipping and will never be seen by the public. Nothing I do is ever gonna change that. The US isn't capable of handling recycling. Most of our recyclables used to go to China, and now they just go to landfills. Most recyclables aren't actually recyclable. Most of the recycling propaganda you see today is actually paid for by the biggest plastic producers. The Baha Men were responsible for letting the dogs out and wrote a song to try and deflect responsibility. All those Russian politicians that jumped or fell out of upper floor windows were actually pushed. Any of y'all watched that new documentary series on Netflix? It's called American Conspiracy: The Octopus Murders. I knew next to nothing about any of it going in, but there are pretty strong cases to be made that there's definitely something there. At the very least, it's a reminder that the government has done some absolutely horrendous things. The human trials for Preparations A through G ended in tragedy, and Big Hemorrhoid is covering it up. Certain companies were actively dismantled by consulting groups who simultaneously worked and continue to work with the financial sector to short said companies and rake in trillions of dollars while stealing lucrative market share from targets and providing it to a few monopolies. Read, Amazon. Amazon killed commerce. Hedge funds helped. Edit. Think Sears, Blockbuster, Toys R Us, Circuit City, JCPenney. Bill never cheated on Hillary. They had an open marriage, always traveling, rarely together, and infidelity was easier for the public to stomach than a swinging president and first lady. All printers have a program on them that counts the number of pages printed and purposely makes the printer act like shit once this limit has been reached. The government asks this question here often to see what they need to cover up more and more, and which conspiracies we've forgotten about. That the Kardashian sisters keep their brother chubby so they can use his fat for their injections.